I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel, and 551.076 to discuss detection security audits. And the time is 5:31. The board will now convene into open session, and the time is 6:19. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to welcome you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast Independent School Board. This is a business meeting of the board held in public. We appreciate your attendance and request your respectful attention. We welcome your comments during the Matters from the Floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action agenda item, you will be called at that time. We wish to emphasize that this is a business meeting of the board, and while those in attendance may disagree about issues, it is our expectation that everyone will conduct themselves in a respectful and professional manner. Disruptions to this meeting by anyone will not be tolerated. In the event any person or group disrupts the meeting, a warning will be given to stop any disruptive behavior. Anyone persisting in disruptive behavior will be removed from the meeting. The board may also call a recess in the event of persistent disruptions, so that individuals who engage in disruptions can be removed. It is our intent to conduct the meeting in an orderly fashion. Finally, I would like to remind you that it is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. Item 5, Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, Churchill Middle School, Ms. Ramirez-Castaneda.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. My name is Michelle Ramirez-Castaneda, and I am the proud principal of Churchill Middle School. Today, I would like to introduce to you two of Churchill's finest students. Providing the invocation is Maya Kellogg. I'm going to put these on. Maya is a 7th grade student. She's involved in academic UIL, band, athletics, and is currently a candidate for NJHS. She has been a member of the honor band for 2 years, has played volleyball, basketball, cross country, all while maintaining an A honor roll for the last 2 years. At any given UIL meet, you can see Mia Kellogg with a necklace of academic UIL medals after the meet. What she loves about Churchill is the teachers, because she says they go the extra mile and are really good at what they do. When Mia graduates from high school, she plans to attend Texas A&M University and study in the School of Business. Joining her tonight are her parents, Jacqueline Kellogg, one of our PTSA board members, Kyle Kellogg, a teacher at Churchill. So Maya, Mr. and Ms. Kellogg, please stand and be recognized. Leading the Pledge of Allegiance and Texas Pledge is Braylon Allen. Braylon is also a 7th grade student. He is involved in debate and has been invited to join the National Junior Honor Society as well. Braylon is a member of the basketball team, the football team, and track. He plays AAU basketball and track, and this past summer he went to compete in Junior Olympics and got first place in the 400 and 800. He is also an all-star MVP. What he loves about Churchill are the amazing teachers that motivate him to do better in school, and his coaches, because they are funny, nice, and encourage him to do his best. When Braylon graduates from high school, he would like to play wide receiver for The Ohio State University, and then play with the Kansas City Chiefs. Today, joining Braylon are we have several members. His parents, Emerson Angela Allen, Grandma Linda Miller, and his brother-in-law, Jamal Green Gatsky. So please stand and be recognized. As you can see, Texel has some bright shining stars, and I can't wait to see what their future holds for them the next few years here in Northeast ISD. So Mia and Braylon, please approach the podium for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you please bow your head with me? Dear God, thank you for the leadership that you have given to our school district. God, please bless Dr. Micah, the school board members, and the executive staff members who have been given the responsibility to lead our community well. Please give them wisdom and encourage them when times are tough. Help them to be an encouragement to each other daily. Bless them and all of us gathered here with the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to pray over these leaders you have put in place to guide us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge my allegiance to the flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Mia and Braylon, if you'll come forward, we have certificates for you, and we'd like to take a picture with you, please. And parents, please feel free to take photos as well.
It's my wife. Everything good comes from her.
You are welcome to stay, but you are welcome to go. Sounds like we have some very busy students, so good luck to you for the rest of the year. And thank y'all for being here. Appreciate it. Item 6, recognition. A, President's remarks on acknowledgement of special calendar events. So today is Maintenance Worker Appreciation Day. March 13th is Procurement Professionals Day. April 3rd is Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. And April 4th is National School Librarian Day. So if you see any of these individuals, please thank them for what they do for us on a daily basis. Item B, UIL 6A State Swim Meet Girls 200 Freestyle State Champion, Churchill High School, Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff and guests. Kelly Parker, Executive Director for Athletics, will address this agenda item.
Good evening. A couple weeks ago, on February 23rd, 24th, the UIL held their 6A swim meet in Austin, Texas. We had a lot of kids from our district go to that meet and participate, but we had two young ladies in particular who did very well. The first one I would like to introduce is Miss Carly Crunk. She is from Churchill. She got first place, gold medal in the girls 200 freestyle. Her coach, Miss Sierra Stewart, is here with her. And her principal, Todd Bloomer, is in the crowd.
gotta go. I think I could go there. Wait and see. Sierra, Coach, behind, go by. Dr. Micah, can you give us a WC if we take a photo?
You're going to have to strike him in a minute.
Congratulations, Carly.
Thank you. Our next young lady
Item
is,
C, let me call you, please. Item C, UIL 6A State Swim Meet Girls 100 Butterfly State Champion and Girls 200 Freestyle Silver Medalist, Reagan High School.
from Reagan High School, we have Miss Montserrat Spillman. Again, she got first place in the 100 Butterfly, second place in the 200 Freestyle. Her coach is Michael Rourke. And her principal, Charles Reiniger, is in the crowd as well.
Okay, right in.
Yeah, sorry.
I'd love to.
He put you in the picture?
Congratulations. Item D, TMEA All-State Recognition. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Grona and all. Julie Shore, Executive Director for Fine Arts, will address this agenda item.
Good evening. 31 Northeast students have been named the TMEA Texas Music Educators Association All-State Ensemble. This is the highest honor a Texas musician can achieve. More than 60,000 students from across the state began the audition process in the fall of 2023. Only 1,700 students earned a chair in one of the TMEA All-State Ensembles. Of the 31 Northeast students, 10 of our students are in band, 16 in choir, and 5 in orchestra. These exemplary students experienced 3 days of intense rehearsals with world-renowned conductors, followed by a concert to thousands of music educators that were attending the TMEA conference. The success of our music students is due primarily to the hard work and dedication of our Northeast music educators and the strong programs that they provide. I would like to say thank you so much to all of our directors for inspiring our students to achieve greatness, and congratulations to our very talented students. At this time, I would like to recognize these students and their director. Stephen Amaro, MacArthur Band. Alex Caro, Johnson Band. Chris Contreras, Churchill Band. Sixto Elizondo, Churchill Orchestra. Caden Fogel, Johnson Band. Annie Hausman, Johnson Band. Sophie Hausman, Johnson Band. Jonas Hodges, Johnson Choir. Jason Nooner, Johnson Band. Andrea Santos, MacArthur Orchestra. Charles Serrano, Johnson Choir. And Sam Stevenson, MacArthur Band. I would also like to recognize our directors that are here this evening. From the Johnson Band, Mr. Robert Lozano. From the Churchill Orchestra, Mr. Jason Thibodeau. From the Churchill Band, Miss Amanda Stevenson. From the MacArthur Orchestra, Miss Sarah Hayter. And from the MacArthur Band, Mr. Hector Trevino. And I would also like to recognize our amazing Director of Music Programs, Mr. Phil Flynn. Congratulations to all of you. We're going to scooch up and we're going to take a picture, so kind of level off, get tight, get to know your neighbor. No, thank you. Phil.
You're with me. Oh, all right. We're up good. Good. Come on. You too. We're going to be in the short side. No, sir. We're going to get it. We just got to get it. All right. Here we go. Does that work? Yeah.
You have a few fans that are here to see you. Stay there, don't move. Keep smiling. Beautiful. Thank you all so much for being here. Congratulations.
Item 7, matters from the floor. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies, 2, a personnel action, 3, a student disciplinary matter, 4, a complaint about a particular student, or 5, pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. If you signed up to speak on a specific agenda item, you will be called up when the board reaches that item. Please remember that this is a business meeting of the board. Any person or group engaging in outbursts of any kind causing a disruption to the meeting will be warned, and if they persist, will be removed from the meeting. This is to ensure that all speakers have an opportunity to make comments without interruption and that the board members are able to pay full attention to speakers without any distractions. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the Superintendent's Office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Ms. Huey.
Number 1. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dick Raz Rasmussen. I'm a resident of District 5. I've been a resident for 14 years and a Texas resident for the last 20 years. And I'm also a candidate for single-member District 5 in the NEISD School Board trustee election coming up. I wanted to speak briefly about just some general comments. I'm very proud of my public education. I grew up in Arizona. I had a great public education that prepared me to go to the Air Force Academy, to graduate there with military distinction, get a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, and go on to pilot training, serve for 22 years in the Air Force, and retire successfully to go on to other corporate jobs and have success there, as well as a leader and as a collaborator with groups within the public sector. I want to talk about right now, though, equipping students for the future. I feel like I was really equipped for the future with my public education, but I'm not so sure that we're doing a great job right now. Some of the statistics that you can look up in elementary school in the NEISD, 46% of the elementary students tested at or above the proficient level for reading, and 38% tested at or above that level for math. Middle school, 44% of middle school students tested at or above the proficient level for reading, 34% tested at or above that level for math. High school, 62% of the high school students tested at or above the proficient level for reading, and 17% at or above the level for math. Those really aren't acceptable statistics. We've got to do better. We've got to be able to prepare our students for higher education, careers, leadership roles. And if they can't read or write or do math at the required level, we've got to do better, prepare them to be educated for their futures. Our school system, as the president had noted in the opening remarks, was about excellence. And I agree, the NEISD should be about excellence. We should be about providing a world-class education for our students to prepare them for the life ahead. I think that one of the other things we need to look at is our U.S. history. So we need to get back to the basics of reading, writing, arithmetic, also U.S. history. We need to go back to teaching the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, having them understand civics and government. Clearly, there was a study done in 2022 that only 47% of people can name the 3 branches of the U.S. government. That's a sad state of affairs. Even more shocking is only 1 in 4 of those people could not name any of the branches of government. So how can we have our students prepared to be civic leaders, to vote, to be productive citizens in our great country if they don't know how the system even works? We've got to teach them to love our country. We've got to teach them to respect the flag. We've got to teach them that this is the greatest country in the world, and bring back solid U.S. history to our classrooms and prepare them for what's ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Chapman. First, I want to mention how glad I was to see that 2 board members are not seeking re-election in May. I encourage people in District 5 to support the gentleman who just spoke, Dick Rasmussen, and for District 6 to re-elect Steve Hilliard. Speaking of elections, I encourage people to vote in the primary election tomorrow. One of the questions on the ballot is about school choice in Texas. Having school choice would stop a lot of the indoctrination that is going on in schools. Tonight, instead of talking about the clot shot, I'm going to address the sexualization of kids that is happening in our schools. It goes much deeper than most people think about because they only look at the sex education curriculum, but they overlook the multitude of ways that schools are still sexualizing children. About a year ago, I went to a presentation put on by the San Antonio Family Association. It was a showing of this film, The Mind Polluters. I was shocked to learn of some of the sneaky ways schools, to include schools in Texas, are pushing a perverse sexual agenda on children. They are putting into things such as anti-bullying and social emotional learning, among other things. These things desensitize children to sexual topics. They push a sexually promiscuous agenda as well as homosexual and transsexual perversion. Make no mistake about it, people who push these agendas are child abusers. I urge parents to go to themindpolluters.com and get this film and to start digging into what they are pushing on our kids in schools. Thank you.
Speak on that.
Do you want to?
wait until then?
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
Okay.
We just weren't sure whether to.
Yeah, thanks, thank you.
Item 8, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments. A, the athletic coordinator / head coach of Churchill High School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Did I hear?
Opposed.
Okay, but everybody else was aye? Okay, so it carried 5-1. Thank you. Item B, Assistant Principal of MacArthur High School. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 2, possible action regarding proposed recommendation for termination of Chapter 21 term contract employee. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Item 9, presentations. A, intruder detection audit.
Thank you, Madam President. As we discussed in closed session, we had 8 campuses that had an intruder detection audit. Of those, 7 were clean audits, which meant there were no findings. We did have 1 finding, and that finding was addressed immediately upon its discovery. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Item 10, superintendent comments.
Let me get this on. Thank you, Madam President. So, some great things that are going on. Let's go through. We're excited to share that 2 NEISD educators, I hope you saw, were nominated for this year's HEB Excellence in Education Awards. Congrats goes to Cibolo Green counselor Cynthia Gaton and MacArthur High School's Steve Davidson. Both were surprised at their campuses with the good news last week, along with a $1,000 check for themselves and $1,500 for each of those campuses. And we have a young lady that's a celebrity out at Tex Hill Middle School, Lila Smethurst, who was recently named the champion of Season 12 of the Food Network's Kids Baking Championship. Lila started out as one of 12 bakers from around the country and was named the overall winner, which means she'll be featured in Food Network magazine and won $25,000. So good for her. So congratulations to Johnson High School sophomore Sophia Krumholtz. She has been selected to attend the Francis Hesselbein Student Leadership Program at the United States Air Force Academy. This opportunity is made possible thanks to our partnership with the Military Child Education Coalition, or MSEC. And then last week, the NEISD communications team brought home 10 awards at the annual state conference. That includes 6 gold, 4 silver, plus a Best of Category award for the Specialty Novelty Writing category. And then, And then last but not least, the San Antonio Cyber Cup was held this Saturday. Thank you to those of you that were able to attend. This is a real testament to your vision years and years ago when we began ICSI. So of the 4 top high schools to earn a paid 4-year internship from Booz Allen, all 4 came from Northeast. So they were from Legacy, Johnson, Roosevelt, and another Legacy team. So that was outstanding. The overall, so first place was the team from Roosevelt High School. So they earned all sorts of stuff, a $60,000 scholarship to St. Mary's, $15,000 per student for each of those 4 years. They got the internship program. They earned a classroom set. They got CompTIA access and a voucher. And then, of course, they got also another scholarship from AFA, and then they got a jacket. The second highest team, so that was in the all services area, was Roosevelt. Johnson, I think they were the top in their area, right? Yes, in the open division was Johnson High School's team. The legacy team from STEM was the #1 all-females winner in it. And then last but not least, not just the high schools did great, but hey, why not throw in a middle school? Lopez Middle School's group was the best or the highest scoring middle school. So we had my opinion is we dominated it, which was quite great. But it shows you how ICSI is now gone past just reaching. Because remember, our students come from all over our district to there, and then they go back and they form their teams at their campuses. So this is a real testament to the work that campus is doing and showing how it's spreading out throughout our district. So congratulations to all our cyber patriots. Those kiddos are on track, and good luck to the Roosevelt High School team who goes to compete in Maryland for the Nationals. Just so you all know, they had the highest scoring in round 1, they had the highest score in the nation in the all services division. So good luck to them.
But I think it's also very important to note that at that ceremony Saturday, that Dr. Micah was also given one of the leather bomber jackets by Cyber Texas. That is a huge, and he looked great in it. I tried to convince him to wear it tonight. He didn't. But he was recognized and the district for what they've done for cyber in San Antonio.
We could just hang it on the back of your chair.
Look, Miss Huey, I'll be honest, but that's not look, it was humbling to receive it, but it was really a testament to our school district, to you all, to the teachers, to our students who are investing time and energy into a program. Mm-hmm. And again, look, for those students that go through that program over there, they're exiting more or better prepared than 40% of the current workforce right now in San Antonio in cyber, and they're looking at a median starting income of about $75,000. So, I mean, I think it's a great program that's producing a lot of fantastic kids for that field. So
yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
Okay, item 11, board business. A, discussion and possible action regarding resolution for Texas Association of School Board 2024 Superintendent of the Year. Each year, TASB recognizes a Superintendent of the Year. Strong school leaders are chosen from each region to compete at the state level, and the winners announced at the convention in September. This award recognizes superintendents who display exemplary and visionary leadership. Dr. Micah has led this district with a clear vision to increase academic options and improve student outcomes. His efforts have helped raise the profile of Northeast ISD. Beginning with Discover NEISD, Dr. Micah has invited all of our stakeholders to learn about the innovative programs and high-quality instruction within our district. He has pushed forward new ideas like the world-renowned Institute of Cybersecurity and Innovation and reinvented older programs like KSAT and ETA to offer new workforce-based programs and partnerships with CETA. Next school year, students will have the opportunity to attend our new early college high school at MacArthur, expanding the MAC-UP program. The new MacArthur United will enable students to take college-level courses toward earning an associate degree in arts with a focus in either education or business. People are taking notice of the great things happening in our district. Northeast was named Best District through the Reader's Choice Awards and is one of America's best employers according to Forbes magazine. Dr. Mike is also considered a thought leader and is often invited to speak to various business and educational groups. He serves on the Regional Advisory Committee for Region 20 and on the D. Howard Foundation Board. He is also willing to lend a hand to those in need. During the big snowstorm in 2021, he worked on water pipes for families while his own home was without water. And most recently, he provided resources to San Antonio ISD when they experienced widespread heating failures. For these and many other reasons, I ask you to consider the adoption of the resolution in your packet to nominate Dr. Sean Micah for the TASB Superintendent of the Year Award.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I've already signed it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all. So we do all need to sign that resolution, so before you leave this evening, if you'll make sure that we have the original signed by everybody. So thank you. Okay. Item B, discussion and possible action regarding review and recommendation of curriculum and instructional materials for compliance with HB 3908. And this is School Health Advisory Council.
Well, thank you all for your time. My name is Brandon Broom. I'm the chair of the Safe and Healthy Schools Committee on SHAC. Good timing. House Bill 3908 was passed last year, and this is to take effect this year. Go ahead and go to the, oh, thanks. This will start this year. Thankfully, the district has done a really good job with teaching substance abuse and prevention already. This is not going to add a lot of requirements, but the point is to raise more awareness amongst our kids for fentanyl abuse. So every district and open enrollment charter school is required to provide this teaching to all grades 6 through 12. So the 4 bullet points listed are what's highlighted: suicide prevention, abuse and addiction, awareness of resources, which we're doing, and health education that includes more further information about substance use and abuse. If you read the law and you read the TEKs that are associated with this, what they've done is they've taken what's currently required by the state for substance abuse and drug abuse, they've cut and pasted it and repeated it and added the word fentanyl. And so thankfully, the district is already doing a very good job of meeting all these requirements. So if we did nothing else but add fentanyl to what we're doing, we would be meeting all the requirements. Our recommendation was that during Red Ribbon Week every year, because right now the governor is required to use 1 month out of the year to raise fentanyl awareness, that we would capitalize on the Red Ribbon Week, which is already happening. So during this time, kids would have protected time during class where handouts could be distributed district-wide. For those in middle school, it's very easy during morning announcements and things. So the principals, what we were proposing was the principals would choose a flyer from several websites that are out there. This could be mass distributed by email to parents, but also printed for distribution in the classrooms to the children, where they could also take these home. Those would highlight all the bullet points that are required. High school, this gets to be a little bit more difficult, and talking to the staff and talking to the guidance counselors, it's a little bit more difficult to get all high school kids together at the same time. The guidance counselors are already providing instruction on all these bullet points to the high schoolers, and the proposal was that they would add fentanyl awareness to this current teaching. There is a link here. The handouts that are proposed are all on the TEA website, and these are all DEA-sponsored, CDC and HHS approved, so they meet all the requirements by the law, and they would be at no cost. Here's a few examples. I'm not going to sit there and read these, but they're in the handouts. I'm happy to go back and highlight any of these if you guys would want. There's a few of these, and additional efforts that we were proposing with that currently with what we're teaching in kids, be it through guidance counselors, be it through health class, that we would add fentanyl awareness to the current teaching. The Coaches versus Overdoses program is going to become very more popular in Texas. This is free. There's a website with information on how to do this, and our recommendation was that the district also consider this. There's PA announcements that can be given at football games. Coaches are kind of encouraged to review these kind of things with their players, and the players are expected to be role models and leaders in their schools, speaking out against substance abuse and raising awareness to fentanyl. With that, any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify, so the 38.040, where it says that we have to do the fentanyl abuse prevention and the drug poisoning awareness, and then we've got to talk about the suicide prevention, the prevention and the abuse and addiction to fentanyl, the awareness of local school and community resources, and the health education that includes information about substance use and abuse. So what you're saying is right now we're doing all of this except for the fentanyl?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, these things are actually already required for drug and substance abuse.
Okay.
What they've done in additional is they're really trying to highlight the fentanyl awareness. This has become a very hidden thing. It's amazing how many kids, oh, I forgot my Adderall, borrow yours, and they don't know, you know, but kids that are abusing things are getting what they think is one thing, and it has this in it, and in one little amount. And so the idea is just adding this to what's currently there, but we want to take it a step farther because it is becoming, right now, it's a very rapidly growing new problem.
Right. Okay. I like the idea of the coaches and what was it called? Coaches. Is there an avenue or something for other, so like for instance, fine arts, or, I mean, are there programs for those groups of children, or is it just a coaches?
There are none out there right now, and this is the One Pill Kills is a big ad campaign that they put out there, and the Coaches versus Overdoses thing was another thing that was spearheaded at a state level.
Okay.
They haven't done this, but it could piggyback off of that very easy. I mean, any organization, any of the fine arts would be a perfect way to do this, because it's a way, you've got that team approach, right? And a lot of these kids too, when they excel in these things, are looked at by their peers as leaders. It's nice to have those kids championing them. That works great at some of the other programs where we've already done that for years, and for other things like bullying and substance abuse.
Okay, so the handout is the way that we're going to get that information out?
That was our recommendation, yes. We looked at a bunch of different options. I mean, there's a lot of really costly things that would require training and experts to come in and give the teaching. The easiest thing would be to use this form, and we debated round and round and round on, should it just be digital? But the idea is that not only do the kids need it, but hopefully the parents will get this information too, and what's going to be the best way to get it to them, and very cost effective. One piece of paper hopefully would do the trick.
Okay. All right.
Could it be the digital also, though? Could they both go out at the same time, and that way maybe we had a bigger audience?
Absolutely, and we had lots of feedback about that, not only from our committee, but from Full Shack, that the principals could potentially, they can use Skyward, they can use whatever it is to email blast this out to everyone.
Yeah, we might have a better chance of reaching more parents that way, too.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the materials to be used for fentanyl prevention and drug poisoning awareness that has been presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Landry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Item C, discussion and possible action regarding recess policy revision recommendation. Okay.
Take your time. Too much recess.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. I am Lori Fitch, and I'm the chairperson of the Fitness and Physical Activity Standing Committee, and behind me is my committee. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share on behalf of SHAC our recommendation for revisions to the NEISD recess policy. Flip it over. So regularly scheduled intervals of unstructured play, otherwise known as recess, impacts and benefits the development of elementary school children cognitively, socially, and physically. It affects their emotional and mental state and improves the students' readiness for learning in the classroom. The CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the National Education Association, the Society of Health and Physical Educators of America, in addition to many studies, have all expressed the important role recess plays in child development. I think y'all see it too, just some little, well, I don't know what I want to call it here, just some things about it if you wanted to kind of look. And there was a pilot study actually done in Frisco ISD that that's what this is, that kind of give you some of the highlights. So research supports that when provided longer playtime, the quality of student readiness to learn improves. For example, data, and it is included in your resources, from a district of similar size located north of San Antonio shows that providing increased time for recess in separate intervals resulted in positive outcomes. One example of such outcome is that it enabled them to recapture lost instructional minutes because of the less need for redirection. Additionally, the pandemic and its aftermath have highlighted a greater need to address not only academic learning loss, but the need to close the gaps in socialization and physical health. Recess is a great tool for this, even in its simplest form. As a committee, we recognize and appreciate that finding additional time for recess is not an easy recommendation to implement across all campuses. We respect the unique obstacles each campus faces and applaud to those campuses who are already successfully implementing more recess time, and experiencing the benefits associated with it. Our committee was tasked with considering and making policy recommendations concerning recess. After looking at research, examining results of various programs to increase recess, and meeting with district and campus leaders to better understand the challenges faced with incorporating more recess breaks into the school day, the committee believes all students will greatly benefit academically, socially, and emotionally by having not only more recess time during the day, but also having that recess broken into 2 breaks throughout the school day. At this time, we're happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Okay.
First of all, thank you so much for this. Even pre-pandemic, this was a huge topic of discussion among parents and teachers in particular. And it's something that I think is wonderful, but I think my questions really are going to be towards administration, and is this a workable, I mean, I would like to see as much recess as is.
Would you like me to read what the current policy reads and then what we would like to see as a change? Excuse me. All right, so currently the policy reads, provide a regularly scheduled daily recess at the elementary level that is a minimum of 20 minutes of recess, of which at least 15 minutes is unstructured. The recess cannot be used for punishment, study hall, or tutoring. And schools that choose to have a lunch recess are encouraged to schedule the recess before lunch because it can increase nutrient intake and reduce food waste. What we are proposing as policy revision would be all elementary schools will offer a minimum of 30 minutes of outdoor, per district guidelines for weather and that sort of thing, of unstructured play breaks, otherwise known as recess, each day, split into at least 2 separate periods throughout the school year. Schools that choose to have a lunch recess are encouraged to schedule the recess before lunch because it can increase nutrient intake and reduce food waste. Outdoor, unstructured play breaks should be a minimum of 10 minutes long, not including transitions, to allow for adequate time for students to become engaged in play mentally, socially, and physically. Recess cannot be used for behavioral punishment, study hall, or tutoring.
But I think Ms. Huey was asking, why are we getting that feedback?
I don't know.
Mine's not on. Mine's not on.
No, Mr. Hilliard. I just started out right now. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
I think her question was to administration to see how this could be implemented. And then my question before that is, this looks like these are regs and not policy, so do we need, I mean, because it says FFAR.
FFAR is a reg.
Right.
Correct.
So do we need to, I guess my question, is this a board policy or is this a reg that, how does that work?
Okay, so let me see if I can rephrase what I think you're asking. Do you need to vote on this change?
Since it's a reg.
Right. My answer would be yes, because you're going to adopt a new policy that states you're going to require a 30-minute, and then the way I read this is that it's just to be split up in 2 separate periods, so then it would be, I'm assuming, up to the campus
Yes.
to determine, correct?
Yes, we did want to leave it open.
Okay, so then they could use their site-based committees
Yes.
in which to talk about how to We are getting a lot of feedback. How to best implement, is that correct?
Correct.
Right. So if you're going to adopt this, then we would end up putting it into policy, and then we would update our regulation.
Okay, so we
Does that
would
make
be-
sense?
So we would be updating FFA local.
Correct.
Okay.
We would work to update it. Now, this is for next year, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, so we have time then to implement it, and then update the regulation to read accordingly.
And then that would need to come back for a final
Yeah.
approval?
Yeah,
after-
well, the policy would, sure.
Okay.
But, I mean, that's going to be pretty relatively simple.
Okay.
Mrs. Hugh, to address your question, in our big packet for this stuff, they have master schedules that are already in place. So I think it gives a menu option for each of the campuses and principals to flex to meet the requirement based on their, terrain, travel time to the playground and stuff. But I think it is quite doable because they asked all the principals and got the feedback and stuff. So I think it's executable and does count as instructional minutes too. So everybody's favorite class, recess. But I think truly it's a win-win, I think, because of all the research. Teachers get to teach more, kids better behave, all of those things y'all talked about. Y'all did a great job, so thank you for that work. But this is wonderful, and I think we'll see benefits across the spectrum as it gets implemented, hopefully next year.
Any other questions?
Well, it won't hopefully be implemented next year. You pass it tonight, it's going to get implemented next year.
Yeah.
We just have enough time, i.e. the campuses, to take a look at it and figure out how best. I just appreciate that you gave campuses the flexibility. As a former elementary teacher, assistant principal, and principal, this is the best gig because depending on the grade level may be where they structure these minutes, especially within the day, just kind of based on how kids are doing, right?
Exactly.
Especially where academics happen versus these, or partnered up with things like your specials and those types of things. So that's great. Thank you.
And I was just going to add, again, thank you for the amount of data you gave us where you talked to the schools, got teacher feedback. I know there were several comments that were like, well, staffing is always an issue, and I know we have to give the school some autonomy to figure out what all this means. And so I know you personally have been working on this for several years, Ms. Mitch, so along with several others. But no, thank you. I think this is a step in the right direction for everybody. So appreciate it.
And Ms. Huey, just to address your concern about the curriculum, in the packet we did provide Frisco's master minutes for you. And so the curriculum department at NEISD is obviously welcome to use that as a guideline to figure out where they would like to take maybe minutes from the reading block or math block to account for these extra 10 minutes.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Thank you for that, but I'm not sure we're going to direct that. I think we'll help the campuses decide where they come from just based on academic data. Okay?
Just to add another piece, I know one of the other barriers is sometimes that transition all the way to the playground. But some of the research we had and I think it was the Wilderness Oak principal, got really creative. As long as it was a safe space for the children, it doesn't have to be the playground. It can be that grassy spot where they can just run. So I think we can get really creative because I do know not everyone has that playground really close.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to approve this request as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank y'all
y'all
for your
being here.
time.
Item D, discussion and possible action regarding high school health class survey and ad hoc committee. Is this where
I'm going to have to, before we do anything, I think we need to retire to the executive session because I have a point of information, but it cannot be brought forward in public session. I have some concerns, and so I wanted to address these concerns before we even get started on that.
On the next item?
Yes, on this ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we are going to, do we need to make a motion to adjourn into, do I have a motion to adjourn into executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're going to adjourn at 7:12. Okay, we're going to reconvene and the time is 7:24. And I believe that we had someone sign up to speak to this item. Ms. Huey.
And that was number 3.
Good evening. I'm Maureen Molak, a current resident in NEISD and the co-founder of David's Legacy Foundation, a local nonprofit that focuses on bullying and suicide prevention and digital wellness in Texas schools. I'm also on the advisory group for the Texas Center for Student Supports under TEA that is developing a framework to address the mental, emotional, and behavioral health needs to support student physical safety and academic success. I fell into this work 8 years ago after my youngest son, David, died by suicide at the age of 16. And I've been involved in multi-layered prevention efforts ever since. Through my advocacy work with the Texas legislature, the topic of the elimination of the high school health class requirement in 2009 has come up often in my discussions. Had they had the foresight that the rates of youth suicide would begin to dramatically climb beginning the following year in 2010, they tell me perhaps they would have made a different decision. Unfortunately, in Texas, the rates of youth suicide and most other health-related areas such as drugs, alcohol, and tobacco use are all higher than the national average. The current health TEKs, which are only in their second year, are a key prevention strategy to reduce these negative outcomes that have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 era. High school health class provides the opportunity for student discussion, which is critical to reduce the stigmas around mental health, suicide, and other safety concerns. And the class also teaches students how to advocate for themselves and others in bullying and cyberbullying situations. I understand the complexities of some students to fit health class into their high school graduation plan. My oldest son, Cliff, played multiple sports, was in many advanced classes, and was academically competitive in neighboring Alamo Heights. But we fit the required health class in despite the challenges with his schedule. I support you in engaging your community in this decision. Parents should receive information on the content of the health TEKs and how it integrates with your efforts to educate the whole child, as well as what unintended consequences might arise from the decision to eliminate or make the class elective. Could eliminating this class lead to capacity issues for your stand counselors? Could it lead to increased disciplinary referrals or classroom disruptions that impact teacher well-being or retention? What is the alternative plan to integrate the state-mandated health-related topics into your core subjects? Today, we can't pick up a newspaper without seeing an article that we are in the middle of a youth mental health crisis. Perhaps you could reconsider and postpone this decision until there are signs of youth mental health improvement. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Byer emailed a revised survey, I think. So are there any questions or comments about the survey itself?
I thought he did a very good job with it holistically, and I think it hits all the key points based on distilling it down. So I think it's very good in its current form.
And I apologize for not getting it out until this morning. So if you haven't had a chance to review it, it's basically, we started with each of us having a couple of questions, then Mr. Hilliard had a revision, and then as I was looking at it and also taking into some of the guidance and feedback we got from performance and planning, and not change our questions necessarily, but just, again, looking at what is it that we're trying to answer. And in all honesty, I eliminated both of my questions because they were hinting at something different than I think what we were trying to hear from the community. And so, yeah, what I did is I just sort of consolidated instead of having parts 3A, 3B, 3C, tried to put that all into one question and have a couple of different drop-down menus that we discussed last week, just to try to clean it up. So instead of 12 questions, we now have 6 questions that are kind of choose, and then the 7th one, as we discussed, having an open 250-word spot that a parent could talk to their student and see if there's other feedback. The other thing I want to point out is that I think it's important that we have kind of after each question, I think majority of them, a space that people can add a few words as well. Because if the options we're giving them don't quite hit what they're trying to say, I want them to be able to add, and maybe we can limit that to 50 words or 100 words, so it doesn't have to be long paragraphs. And then I think the final thing that I would like to do is, I think in the sample we got last week from Performance and Planning, it did have links to the TEKS, the Health Year at a Glance, and the TEA guidance, I believe. And I think what would be important is in our introductory paragraph in the email, have those. They don't necessarily have to be on every page of the survey, but have that resource in the email for folks to look at, because not everybody's going to know. And I would venture to say there's not a high percentage of people that are going to go and read through all of that, but I want to at least offer if everybody's good with that.
And even would, in that email would be able to include, because like you pointed out, some people don't know what TEKS are, and just to explain that these are the required by the state, that what TEKS is, and then here's a link to what our TEKS are. I appreciate that you shortened it. I think that that's really important. I think Planning and Research pointed out that the shorter the survey, the better chance you're going to have at responses. I would like to make a suggestion that maybe one of our, that I did notice a couple of, we'll call them typos.
Yes.
And grammatical errors and things like that. If we can make sure that that's all cleaned up before it goes out.
I think, I guess my suggestion would be is that if everybody's good with generally how this is set up, get this back to them, put it back in the Qualtrics, and send it out to us to take one last look and then go from there.
Yeah,
I don't want to keep going back and forth, but so I tried to go in my limited word formatting and tried to clean it up a little bit. But
yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah.
Yes, I think we need a review of it, a preview of it, to make sure that all my spelling was correct.
Anybody else have any other?
The only question, I really like the questions and how they're revamped and the drop downs and open space to comment. The demographics, I thought last week we had talked about keeping the demographics because there could be multiple students per recipient. Am I wrong? Did we?
We had the conversation about student IDs for those families who might have 2 or more kids that would get this survey. I don't think we ever came to a final decision. If we just do by student ID, everyone gets it, they might get multiples. That would be, I think, generally speaking, a small percentage, but I don't know. Dr. Micah, I know we were going back and forth, but there's no way to limit to, if we do it by student ID, each family is going to get one for each student that would be eligible, i.e. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we send it out by student ID, so a family that has a 6th grader and an 11th grader are going to get 2. Now, they could choose to do one. Right. They can choose to do both, right? But no, if we do it by student ID, that's how it'll go out.
That's the easiest way to do it, realistically. Without having to make staff too much of work, is just, that's, to me, I think it's worth doing that. And then I don't know if we should comment, if you have multiple kids, please pick one child to answer it for. I don't know if we want to add that comment or not. But.
Well, if they get multiple surveys based on the student ID, then would our email need to say, dear parent / guardian of student, and then it fills in the student's name? Is that how it would work? So that when the results are returned, when the parent sees it, they know who they're answering the questions for.
I think we have the ability to do it by age. Dear parent of a 6th grader. Yeah. I'm not sure that it'll say
fill in the name.
Mrs. Landry, Mr. Byer, that way. Does that make sense?
But that would still identify for them which child they were.
I believe we have the ability to do it. Now, if we can do it with the email to the student name, of course, we'll try to do that first. But I'm not 100% sure. But I know we can do it specific to the grade.
And I think, we have to recognize we're going to miss a small percentage, I think. So if somebody gets 2 emails, they may only, they think they got it twice, and they'll just do it once, and I think we'll have to sort of unfortunately live with that. But, you know, I think if they answer at least one of them, that's great.
Right.
That's great.
And, yeah, and we don't want to make it overly burdensome on the staff.
Right. No, I think the bigger concern, Mr. Byer, to that is it going to people's spam or their junk.
Correct.
That's why we need a little bit of time ahead to advertise and try to bring some attention around it and some energy around it so that when it goes out, that then we can clearly say, and if you didn't receive it, here's how you get it. Because we have the ability to go in and send it straight to you.
Obviously, with spring break coming up, it obviously wouldn't be till at least the week after spring break, if not the last week of March, possibly.
You must be reading my mind, Mr. Hilliard.
I mean, it's obvious.
My question was going to be, so now when do you all want us to, because again, my recommendation to you all would be to give us a week to kind of bring some energy around it, and then the following week to deploy it.
Is it reasonable to say, I mean, because of spring break, to say that it needs to be, this is going to sound weird with an April Fool's joke, but just deploy it April 1st and hope.
That or the week prior is the 25th to 29th. Would you have a spring break, a full week after spring break to advertise?
Sure.
And then the last week of March, I think, might be good. Yeah. Because then we'll have a little time to absorb the data.
Because we could start talking about it the 18th through the 22nd, and then the email would go out on the morning of the 25th. And then it would run. Y'all are still wanting to do it for the week, right? So 25th through the 29th, 5 p.m. or 4:45 or whenever, it'll just cut off at the 22nd.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Run for a week.
Yep.
I do have some questions or comments on number 5. That was very confusing to me. The would not, and then please select the reasons, and they were all mixed up and jumbled. Could you just have my student would or would not have taken the class and then have a box and ask them to say why, as opposed to?
And I think that's reasonable. I don't know if it's potentially good to have some prompt. I mean, I don't know. I look at that.
Or could you make it a 2-part? If high school were not a graduation requirement, my student would or would not, kind of like how Dr. Romo had done that other one where it was like, if it's this, you go to this. If it's this, you go to this. So if you would, then these are.
Yeah, that's how originally that's how it was. It was split that way originally. It was either you would or would not.
Because looking at this, I'm like, I don't know what.
So we could do a split back to how it was, which was if you would, tell us why. If you would not, tell us why. And I'm fine with that because that's how it originally was.
Yeah,
he was just trying to clean it up. Okay. So yeah, we
I got a little too aggressive in my consolidation.
Okay, well,
good.
Well, thank you for trying to consolidate, but you.
I'm confused.
So we agree, break out 5 into would and would not.
Five
and then just leave a box for them to say why.
Well, I think having the choices gives us clearer alignment on reportable data. So if you have a fill in the box, you can get all kinds of.
On this one, I was recommending both.
Yeah.
Just, and we can see how that feels in the preview.
Okay.
But I think having both, because this isn't going to, these suggested responses are not going to cover every topic or every response that somebody might have.
Okay.
I think these are generally good for prompts, but I think having a space to explain would be helpful.
Yep.
Okay. And then on number 6, so when you ask the question of, where it talks about the dangers of fentanyl, other drugs, do you think that these are necessary for all students to learn? Some of what's taught in health is required, correct?
Yes.
So I'm not sure about asking that question, because if it's required,
Well, it's still required.
I just am not sure about.
At some point, it's going to have to be shifted somewhere else there, which is going to open another ball of problems or situations or questions or whatever. But
and I had one of my questions was very similar to this that I struck, and now that I'm looking at this, Yeah,
So-
I don't want to, yeah, go ahead.
I guess
Sorry.
whose question was this? I'm not sure whose it was, but I guess really the goal was, because the question is, do you think it's necessary for all students to learn, which is slightly different than the actual we have to requirement piece of it. But that's, I guess, I'm not sure whose question, I'm not sure whose it was. David, was this your question?
No, I had one very similar to this, but this is not the one.
I'm
I had.
not, but, so I guess that was really, what's the point of this, or is this one of those ones we make go away?
So that's, I kind of maybe is where I'm going with it. Is this really, I was going to say, is it possible to ask Dr. Romo if this is a valid question or a good question to ask?
Or we could even just make it go away if not, because it may not be
Yeah.
getting to objective answers we need that inform our decision.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I
So
think
we strike
can
number
just
six?
Strike six.
Okay.
Look at that.
And then rework 5.
Broke one into 2 and got rid of one. That's great.
It all came out in the wash. Thanks for the work. It was very,
Yeah, thanks for doing
very
that.
much appreciated.
You're welcome.
So then,
May I just interject, because, sorry, Susie is watching and just sent, so we actually can send it by the name,
Okay.
okay? So we do have that ability, and then she listened to our timeline and says that's a very doable timeline.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay?
thank you, Susie.
And so just to clarify, the email instruction will say, "Dear parent, guardian of student."
It'll go out by student. Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay.
what we have the ability to list it by child. Okay? So what we will do, the one thing I do is, because I'm listening to y'all's conversations and I don't have it, so who's going to send me so Mr. Byer, you're going to send me a clean
I think you're
version?
being elected. Mr. Byer, you've been nominated, sir.
And Mr. Byer, spelling's okay if it's incorrect?
Would you like it in triplicate?
No, sir. But if you would send it, because honestly, it will take them, I mean, if we get it fairly quick, we can have it turned around within a few hours.
Unlike last week, I will send this tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing like getting voluntold for something, huh?
Okay,
It
so
happens.
any other things about the survey? If not, can we move on to the ad hoc committee?
Sure.
One thing that I brought this up at multiple times, we've talked about this, is trying to get teacher input. Because if we're going to follow our balanced district scorecard, we're getting parent input. I think we need to get teacher input. I don't know what that looks like, so I don't know if we could charge the ad hoc committee to determine, if it's surveying only the health teachers, or if it's surveying the coaches, or, yes?
How about, why wouldn't we survey the principals? Because don't they have to come up with a budget for their schools? Or no, they don't?
Well, you also have to consider the counselors, because they teach quite a few of
Right,
these
so
as
that's
well.
what I'm.
But I think we almost, I think we should almost probably do the survey, because, so that I can get the information, we could have them build the survey to get the teacher input, or we can do that ourselves again and kind of model it off of this, but tie it back to the teacher piece versus the other piece where we're talking to the parent, student, we can talk to teachers, to their requirements and counselors, and figure out who it goes to. We can make that, we can task the ad hoc to do that, but I don't know if we want to do that, because remember, they're all volunteers except for the district designee, so that may be a lot for them to come up with a survey on top of that. We could, but
Well, and I'm sorry, not necessarily create the survey, but determine who needs to be surveyed. And so I guess I was thinking ad hoc committee, since they're working directly with Mr. Jarrett and
make a recommendation who should be surveyed? That's reasonable. No, I think that's a good idea. That's fair.
that was my thought.
Yeah, that's
but
reasonable.
I just,
But the survey results would be separate of the parent results, right?
Yeah, they would do a separate survey, but who is a teacher, teacher counselors, et cetera, so forth.
Right.
They make a recommendation on who should be surveyed.
because I think it would be based on conversations with Mr. Jarrett and.
Okay.
Now, so to that point, do we, Mr. Byer, would you like to come up with the teacher survey based on what this?
By tomorrow, please.
So I'm not trying to shirk my responsibilities here, but I think if we have if the ad hoc is looking at who they want to talk to, I'm wondering if there's a way to see what information comes out of that to then determine what the best avenue is to ask those teachers. Because we can come up with survey after survey, and miss the mark if we're asking something that doesn't necessarily make sense
Okay.
in the context of what the ad hoc committee starts talking about.
Okay.
I think it might behoove us just
So
tap that a minute.
hold off on this ad hoc look at who should be surveyed amongst the teachers, counselors, principals, possibly whatever, and then we will sometime in April put that out once they've had a chance to meet and get that initial who they think they want to do and figure out the best way to do it. Is that what
I think so.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Direct them to look at that and what to do and maybe.
Because they may actually kind of have questions that are pertinent to what they're trying to look at.
Yeah.
And we can incorporate those into a survey instead of us imposing that on, and then again, coming back with something that is completely off
the mark.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess to that point, has the ad hoc committee been, I mean, I know we've all submitted names, but have they been formed? Have they met? Have they?
So I can answer that, Madam President. As the board liaison, once Dr. Micah made the designee on Thursday afternoon, I sent out the email. I will send it to Ms. Turner to send it to all of y'all, but basically listed all of the 7 parent/community members plus Dr. Micah's designee. And then it basically was look at the health class as optional, waivers, yes, no, and they're the basic options, and then some background history. But I'll send it to Mrs. Turner so y'all can see all of it who are on there from your nominees. And then I will send a separate one to the Shackett email just talking about the new edition of the teacher survey and counselors. But my understanding is we want them to look at who amongst the staff should be surveyed and then kind of the possible focus areas to consideration. Is that the agreed what we're talking about?
And then have they been, I mean, I'm sure they've been given the timeline of May, but do we?
The
know
email
when-
just went out today from this Shack designee, and she put all of them on email, and they're going to start setting up a meeting schedule. They have not met. They're all on the same email that went out earlier today, and they're going to set up their meeting times, either via Zoom or in person, depending on everyone's schedule, and then facilitate through the designee and Mr. Jarrett, start getting the data questions and stuff. So they have not met yet. They all know who each other is. They all have each other's emails now.
Okay.
And I'll send that email and forward it through Mrs. Turner to all the trustees.
I'm sorry.
Please.
Could I ask that the comments that we've heard in matters from the floor, both from Mrs. Millette tonight, which I think were so important and so vital, and the comments heard at the last meeting from students and everything, that those all be forwarded or shared with the ad hoc committee so that they can get a little bit of an idea of some of the community thoughts that have been shared with us here. I mean, I know they can go back and watch the meetings, but if they could get them in the committee, if it might make it a little bit easier for them than having to go back and watch our videos.
Are you saying someone's going to transcribe those, or just give them the link to the video? Who's going to transcribe it? Because I don't want to test.
Whatever's easiest for the committee to deal with it, whether it's a link, just to.
Okay, well, I could say, I could put matters from the floor from tonight, which is 3 March or 4 March, and then I can go back to the other one on February and just give them the approximate time and date stamp
Or
to
like
review.
Ms. Malek, if you could send us your comments to where if that would be easier, and I don't know if any others, she's the only one here tonight.
If you could
the
snip
other
it,
speakers
well,
could send their comments.
Sorry,
instead of
Monsieur.
it transcribing.
Yeah, Dr. Micah says he's getting a signal that he can just snip
Right.
those,
We
this
can-
one and that one, and send it to
Mr.
the
Gattel's sitting right there. You can just go in and snip those pieces, right? That way then, because Mr. Hilliard, I don't want you to waste your time going through and trying to figure out timestamp and stuff. We just have a real fast way of grabbing it, and we can shoot it. Jason, if you'll grab it, shoot it over to me, I'll forward it to you, and then
Okay,
you can
and
pass it on.
we'll get it over to them, that's no
Okay.
problem. Certainly, yep, we can add that.
Okay, so, action, are we taking action tonight? Or we still need one more time to approve the survey?
Sounds like we need one more time to final approve the survey.
Okay.
I think in principle, everybody seems to agree.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I don't know if
so-
we have to actually
We seem to
take
have-
action.
That'll adjust the timeline then, because we don't meet till the 25th.
Yeah.
And Good
So-
Friday is that Friday, so we might have to wait till your April Fool's joke, Mr. Byer. Which is fine too. April 1st, I think we can do that.
Yeah.
Unless we want to do it from like that Tuesday to the following Monday over the weekend as well for those folks, but we can talk about that at the next meeting, and decide if we want to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can also approve it based on the
Yeah,
changes,
Scott,
which
I'm-
was.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Redoing
Let's
number
do that.
5 and eliminating number 6.
Yep.
And then I would say if something, if Dr.
you-
Romo gets it and she sends it to all of us and there's something glaring about it,
Yeah.
Okay.
then we just, somebody sends an email that says, I have major concerns, and then we bring it back on the 26th.
Just send the major concerns to me, not to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right? So if there's something, so Ms. Turner, maybe what we'll do is I'll send it from my email address. And that way then if there's anything that you all, like if you can tell me, then we can convey it through our channels, because I don't want y'all
Yeah.
talking
Okay.
outside, okay?
So this is approved contingent upon no other significant issues, and it'll go out on the 25th of March for the week, unless there's some other issue, is what I hear everybody agreeing to.
So do somebody want to make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve the health survey as discussed with the changes to 5, deleting of 6, and going out unless there's a significant issue expressed by a trustee back to Dr. Micah by the end of this week. And we will add the comments to the ad hoc committee about who to survey, and I will do that as the board liaison in a separate email and then get it back through Mrs. Turner to the rest of the trustees.
Okay, perfect.
Second.
Friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment.
We discussed also adding the TEKS to
Oh,
the email, as well as the addressing the parent or student or
The health.
guardian. So those are, I would like
Yeah.
to amend
Adding those
to your.
hyperlinks.
Good catch.
Yes.
Right. Adding the hyperlinks. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Can we just real quick now, because we had an amendment after the motion was made, so Mr. Hilliard, you want to, I hate to do this to you, but could you kind of, just for the record?
Okay, for the
restate
record,
what your motion is?
the motion is to approve the survey as discussed, splitting question 5, eliminate number 6, adding the name in the email portion of it, and the resources in the main email. And additionally, I, as the board liaison, will send the ad hoc committee the directive to consider who should be surveyed from the staff and possible questions for consideration. And we will have matters from the floor snippets sent to me to send to the ad hoc committee as well.
And Mr. Bauer, do you still second that motion?
Second.
Okay.
Just like everything.
Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Item 12, new business for possible board action. A, instruction and campus administration. 1, possible action regarding School Health Advisory Council review and recommendation of elementary human sexuality and abstinence education curriculum and instructional materials. Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, President Grona and all. I'd like to ask Jennifer Aguilar, Emma Kelly, and Tony Kamen to come up to the agenda, or to the podium for this agenda item.
Good evening, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. Tonight, the School Health Advisory Council will share their recommendation for curriculum on human sexuality and abstinence education for elementary school, also referred to as elementary maturation. Before I turn it over to Shaq, I'd like to briefly review the process that was utilized per EHAA Legal and EF Local. As with previous curriculum materials, we have presented to you a fidelity checklist, which is found in Appendix A of the materials that were provided to you, was utilized to ensure all policies and processes were followed. EHAA Legal and EF Local specify requirements that must be followed by the district, teachers, and professional staff related to the process and content of any instructional materials. For example, EHAA Legal requires the district to ensure the process includes teacher input, provides district employees opportunity to express opinions, and includes a presentation to the board that includes cost and alternatives, which were in your packet. Since the elementary school nurses have typically been the ones responsible for providing students with the elementary maturation instruction, they were included as part of gathering teacher input. When adopting curriculum related specifically to HSAE, EHAA Legal also provides additional requirements on both the process and content. For example, the SHAC must make its recommendation to the board only after hosting 2 public meetings. Because these additional requirements involve SHAC, BDF Legal and Local provided guidance on the procedures throughout the process. Finally, EF Local provides guidance on criteria to help ensure quality of the instructional materials. Although nurses are experts in the subject matter of growth and development, they are not accustomed to evaluating curricula. Therefore, the PE and Health Department collaborated with Health Services to provide guidance on evaluating alignment with the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS. The packet of information provided to you prior to this meeting reviewed in detail the entire process and timeline of the review for both the academic experts and SHAC. And at the conclusion of SHAC's recommendation, we will be happy to answer any questions you may have about the instructional materials review process. At this time, I'll turn it over to Tony Kamen, chairperson for the SHAC, to present their recommendation.
Thank you. Madam Grona, Board of Trustees, Dr. Micah, and executive staff, thank you very much. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to our vice chair for the for the Chase Committee, and that's Diane Parker. Thank you. I'll let you have it.
Good evening. My name is Diana Parker, and I am the Vice Chair of the Classroom Health and Sex Education Standing Committee, also known as the Chase Committee of the School Health Advisory Council. I am here tonight to put forth the SHAC recommendation for the 4th and 5th grade elementary maturation instructional materials covering the anatomy, puberty, and reproduction TEKS. Elementary maturation instruction falls under the human sexuality and abstinence education strand of the TEKS and is opt-in only, meaning that parents must give active permission in order for their children to receive instruction. NEISD elementary maturation instruction has historically been optional, so it requires active permission from parents to opt their student in, presented once a year to 4th and 5th grade students in gender-specific groups in a 1-hour session held in an alternate classroom arrangement using mainly a video-based curriculum and facilitated by the school nurse. The Chase Committee approached choosing the maturation instructional materials using the TEKS as the filter. Please note that we are not addressing the healthy relationships or the personal safety limits and boundaries TEKS for 5th grade. We are still searching for a curriculum to cover those TEKS. This recommendation only encompasses the anatomy, puberty, and reproduction TEKS for 4th grade and the anatomy, puberty, reproduction, and pregnancy TEKS for 5th grade. Our review process included the following. The Health Services Nursing Administration conducted a search of maturation programs and materials available online and also inquired what other districts and educational service centers 20 and 13 use for maturation materials. A total of 25 materials were evaluated by Health Services nurse administrators. Chase Committee reviewed the format previously used to teach elementary maturation and chose to continue with a 1-hour primarily video-based lesson facilitated by the school nurse. The Chase Committee fully reviewed 7 videos using the anatomy, puberty, and reproduction TEKS as a guideline and narrowed their selection to a total of 5 videos, 2 videos selected for 4th grade and 3 videos selected for 5th grade. Chase held 2 public meetings on January 23rd and January 24th, where the proposed videos from Marsh Media were shown as they would be shown during instruction. The video transcripts were put on Skyward so that parents could preview the materials. Parents were invited to leave feedback on the Google form. As far as the feedback and question responses, we did not get any questions. We had one comment saying that they didn't see any concern with the materials and thanking us for our work. The School Health Advisory Council voted to approve Chase's recommendation for the elementary maturation instructional materials for 4th and 5th grades on February 14th. Here is the SHAC's recommendation. SHAC recommends the approval of the following Marsh Media videos for the 4th grade maturation materials. For boys, Meet the New You for boys, full length. Also for boys, Meet the New You for girls, shown through the 14-minute, 49-second mark. For girls, Meet the New You for girls, full length of the video. And also for girls, Meet the New You for boys, shown through the 13-minute, 40-second mark. and also the NEISD Elementary Maturation Procedure Manual and Teaching Guides document. I want to point out that TEKS 20A specifies that students should explain changes that occur in males and females during puberty and adolescent development. Therefore, girls will watch the entire video for girls, but also a portion of the video for boys. Similarly, the boys will watch the entire video for boys, but also a portion of the video for girls in order to cover the TEKS. Also, please note that once the materials are purchased, the NEISD Media Department will cut the videos at the indicated time and combine them into one product. Here's the SHAC recommendation for the Marsh Media videos for the 5th grade maturation materials. For boys, straight talk about puberty for boys, full length of the video. Also for boys, straight talk about puberty for girls, shown through the 16-minute 1-second mark. And A Baby is Born, shown through the 4-minute 57-second mark. For girls, straight talk about puberty for girls, full length of the video. Also for girls, straight talk about puberty for boys, shown through the 13-minute 9-second mark. And A Baby is Born, shown through the 4-minute 57-second mark. And then also the NEISD Elementary Maturation Procedure Manual and Teaching Guides document. Again, I just want to highlight that TEKS 22A specifies that students should explain changes that occur in males and females during puberty and adolescent development. So again, girls will watch the entire video for girls, but also a portion of the video for boys. Similarly, the boys will watch the entire video for boys, but also a portion of the video for girls in order to cover the TEKS. Both 5th grade boys and girls will watch the first 4 minutes and 57 seconds of A Baby is Born to hit TEKS 20D and E, define the processes of fertilization and reproduction, and identify significant milestones of fetal development. Thank you. This concludes the presentation, and at this time, we can answer questions.
Does anyone have any questions about this?
I had 2 questions. Is there going to be a Spanish version available? I saw some of the questions there. Is that something that the district will do, or did y'all even have that conversation? Is that more of a district question, maybe?
No habla español.
Okay, that's a no. The other question I saw, too, was there was discussion about, some people said, I think it was from the teachers, having the male coaches teach the boys, normally the nurses are female, not always, but and then the nurses teach the girls. Was that a recommendation from the SHAC, or are those just comments that the district staff should consider? Just for the awkward stage conversation based on some of those feedback stuff. Did y'all are making a formal recommendation on that piece? I don't know if Nurse Kelly is.
As far as I understand, it's the nurses that will be presenting.
Okay.
Correct.
Is that, okay, for your teach boys and girls, okay. I saw one of the questions in there. And then last question, it's a 4-year contract is what I think is being recommended. Because I know there was 3 options in there. Or is that more of a district piece, not so much the SHAC itself?
So not speaking necessarily for the SHAC recommendation, but the publisher did provide 4-year, 8-year, and in perpetuity quotes.
Okay, so that's something we as the board need to decide then. Okay. No, that was great. Thank you for the presentation, Ms. Parker, and the entire committee for all the work. I know y'all have spent a lot of time on it, so thank you. Those are my questions.
I think the Spanish question probably is a good one to make sure we keep an eye on. Here's Kim.
So maturation materials are unique in that there are not a wide variety of resources available to choose from in general, and the publisher materials across the board are only available in English.
Okay. I assume we have some resources, though. If somebody were to come ask and say, if a parent says, I need
Yes, we
I
can
need some
absolutely
information
provide information to parents
sort of cross
in
that bridge
English,
as we
in
get
Spanish,
there.
or whatever language they're
yeah,
needing that
same.
information in.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So do I have a motion to adopt the elementary HSAE supplemental instructional materials for 4th and 5th grade students as presented by the 2023 SHAC, and certify that all 4th and 5th grade students who have opted in will be provided with instruction that complies with Texas law and covers 100% of the health TEKS related to anatomy, puberty, and reproduction maturation?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Madam President, do we just need to talk about the term of the contract of what we, the board, are committing the district to, or is that separate? Because there was a 4-year, 8-year in perpetuity, so they can do budgetary planning. The numbers are relatively small, but I don't know if we as the board need to direct that or not. Because that was my question. I didn't know if that's, because that's obviously expenditure budget
Nurse
money.
Kelly, did you have an opinion on this?
So the information included in the videos really doesn't change. If the TEKs change, the material presented would need to be changed. Really what is impacted is just how kind of up-to-date the videos seem. But the material is really what the material is now. It's not going to change in all likelihood. So I think it would really just be what the board is comfortable with.
With that, that's not agendized though, so do we need to bring that back in the future?
We may need to. I don't know, because
Yeah.
that was just the adoption of material, but I just saw those numbers in there. So
Let me ask this. What do y'all want to do?
I think.
Would you want to go the short route for now? Feel it out?
to me, I just want to have a clear thing budget-wise, not to extend outside either 4-year, because I don't know how often the TEKs change or if there will be a significant change in the TEKs, but I'd say 4 probably, and most be 8, but I wouldn't do in perpetuity.
No,
That's just my opinion.
I don't want to do in particular. I would never do that anyway.
And could we get a recommendation from staff maybe for a future agenda, or does it need to be decided? I mean,
I
it's
don't know,
not
I'm
on the
looking.
agenda tonight, so
Yeah.
how can we do that?
So, Nurse, you think 8?
Yes.
Is that it? Okay, is there a financial, sorry.
There's a financial benefit to
Okay.
that. But these really are fairly low cost item. But I think since the material, puberty. So.
Science is science.
Yep.
Okay, so for now, we would approve this for the 8-year. I mean,
What's the difference in price if we do 4 or 8?
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of asking if it should be brought back, so we can see all this.
It was actually, I think
Are we allowed to
it was
see it
4,
on
it
now?
was
As a
4,000,
staff
8,000, or
recommendation.
10,000. It was in the wealth of material.
Oh, okay.
But no, that was the numbers I saw. Just double check, make sure I'm not saying the numbers wrong, but I saw 4,000 for 4 years, 8,000 for 8, or 10,000 for in perpetuity.
No, that's correct. And it would just be putting new materials, making new materials available on the website if it changed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem going for 8 years, and then again, if something comes up, obviously, it's going to have to come back through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And at
I
that
agree.
amount of money, I mean, we're finding dollars wherever we can, but.
But it also gives a clear timeline
I
and
think
plan that
that's,
it's,
I mean, it's $1,000 a year regardless of
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we do there. so.
yeah, okay, I agree. So for 8 years.
Yes.
All right, so I had a motion and a second.
So does
right?
the motion need to be amended then to include that piece, or are we just giving? No. Okay.
No, I don't think so, Miss Hugh. I think I know my marching orders.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for doing that.
May I say something on this next item before
Yes,
you
can I
read it?
call? Oh,
Before you even read it?
sure.
Okay. So, you just got your binder this evening. So it is my request, Madam President, that we don't do anything on this item. One, I apologize for y'all getting it a little bit later, but just know that last week as this was coming on, the vendor actually came back wanting and said, oops, when we bid this, we wanted, and it was much more than $8,000. So Mr. Jarrett pulled the item and went back to them. They came back to the original price. But by that point, some things were, and we just didn't get stuff out timely to you. And I don't, my opinion, but you're the board, you can do what you want. I would rather you all have time to review this at length, and then we can bring it. I've already checked with Mr. Jarrett. April is still fine. We can still bring it back.
And the other
in.
comment I had is just like the previous comment about the balancing scorecard. I didn't see any parent input into these, which I know a lot of other ISDs do. And then obviously we haven't seen any of the curriculum or any of the stuff.
Correct.
So, but I don't know if
That's-
the parent piece is going to be where they can preview it and provide feedback. as well.
That's what I want to get. I want to give you all the time. So we're going to get you some things. You've got a binder tonight to take with you that gives you a lot of information, and then we'll bring it back on the 4th.
Okay.
Okay.
So no action on item 2.
Do we need a motion to table it?
No, just say no action.
Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't table
Okay, item B, consent. 1, construction and campus administration. A, off-campus physical activity agency certification for middle school. 2, business services. A, bid items. B, over 50,000 purchases. 3, minutes from February 2024. 4, end of consent. Do I have a board member wishing to pull an item from consent?
Madam President, can I pull B1A and B2B, plees?
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve consent without B1A and B2B?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, B1A.
Question, so obviously this is about off-campus agencies. I just want to be completely clear. The district assumes no liability for any injury or activities that any of our students might be doing these off-campus activities during school hours. That they're off campus. If they get hurt at one of these approved facilities, the district has no liability. I want to be 100% clear on that. Make sure we're not assuming.
There's no liability to us.
Okay.
These are things that parents are choosing to do to earn it through. So once they go off out of our building, it is not a school-sponsored activity.
Okay.
That's it. The parent's making a choice to do this outward.
Okay, that was my question, just
Yes,
to make
sir.
sure. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve B1A?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. B2B.
B2B, the 50,000 purchases. I see that it's obviously a variety of kitchen, restaurant, remodel stuff. My question was, the last sentence under administrative considerations, it says, by approving this consent item, each approved budget item will not have to be presented again, saving considerable time and resources. So I'm a little concerned. Obviously, that's a board authority thing. We're nearing the end of the fiscal year. So I'm trying to understand why, because obviously this is a 1.6, a 400,000 and 150,000. Obviously, we have meetings every 2 weeks. So I guess I'm just trying to understand why we would waive our authority to do that when you've already got the big numbers here, or am I missing something?
Valerie just walked in.
Yeah. Valerie, did you hear the question? So Mr. Hill, do you want to say it again, or you want me to repeat?
You rephrase it, make sure I feel clearly,
No,
because maybe I
so
didn't.
on the action item, Valerie,
Yes, sir.
it states at the bottom, by approving this consent item, each approved budgeted item will not have to be presented again, saving considerable time and resources. That's in the administrative consideration piece. My assumption to this is that by approving, we're not itemizing each individual little item we're buying. This is to purchase everything for
Correct.
the project. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
Okay, so you're saying there's multiple items over $50,000 that total approximately $1.6 million for the remodel, approximately $400,000 for the freezer project, and then that. So there'll be a couple items. Obviously, the freezer one, I'm guessing that may be one in particular. So there are multiple items over 50, but the total of this, if the numbers change greater than this, of course, you'll come back to us. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just because obviously we're trying to be fiscally prudent and we're running our deficit. So just want to make sure I understood what we were agreeing to as a board when we do
Right,
that.
and just to be clarified, one, these are federal dollars. This is buying down something we have to do because the food service has to lower its balance. So that's really what this is. So this is not coming out of your general budget. We are not going to save any money to our bottom line.
Okay.
Correct, Mr. Villarreal? Yes, sir. If we were, Mr. Villarreal would be all in favor of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood that with the authority we were agreeing to.
No,
Okay.
sir. Yeah,
Thank you. That
that's
answers
it.
my question. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion to approve B2B.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 13, reports. A, interim financial and management reports. B, awarded bid report. C, federal grants report. D, open records request report. Those have been provided for you. Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding board members' request for items to be placed on a future agenda and/or requests for reports from the administration. Does anyone have anything? Seeing none, item 15, adjournment, and the time is 8:13. Thank you all.